And in my estimation, that is a wrap for any realistic playoff hopes. Actually, I won't even use the word realistic. That's a wrap for your playoff hopes.
3.5 back with 10 to go.
They're not going to the playoffs.
Behind two teams.
Behind more than that,
three
right?
teams, actually. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The Cubs are the third wild card. Marlins a half back. Reds a game and a half back. Giants 3.5 back. Only two teams in the National League have scored fewer runs than the Giants.
Yeah.
Miami and Pittsburgh.
Which is odd because Miami is one of the teams ahead of them in this wild card chase.
Correct.
So they too, sort of like a la the article by Tom Verducci that got a lot of attention. We referenced it yesterday. If you haven't read it yet, I suggest that you should. There's some really interesting stuff in there, thought-provoking, few things that you may or may not agree with. But Verducci writing an article basically saying if this is the future of baseball, I'm out. The Giants are among the most boring teams in all of baseball in terms of their process. It's true. It's just funny that he chose the Giants because the Marlins are maybe, that's not as big of a deal, kind of a franchise. But the Marlins are a similar example and have scored even fewer runs and have an even better record. So, listen, I get it. But because this just went down and because the Giants have been swept in Arizona and went on a key 6-game roadie, it wasn't because they're still on the road to L.A. now, but the 6 games of this road trip to Colorado, to Arizona that were so important, they're 1-5, and that's a wrap. And because that has just gone down, we wanted to open it up to you, 888-957-9570, on what should happen next. What do you think? What do they do?
I think that what should they do? What will they do? What do fans want them to do? I do think that these are 3 different questions, and I'll take them in any possible order. What should they do? They should be outraged, and they should look to make wholesale changes. What will they do? They're going to run it back, which means Farhan's back, Gabe is back, and they're going to let him have one more crack. They're going to let Farhan have one more crack at land a free agent that people actually care about, make a team that is actually good enough to compete with the Dodgers. Your young players have been good. I mean,
that's an interesting way to say it.
I mean, your young core, you have some really good, you have some I'm not sure, and you have some, oh boy, I'm not sure if you're actually going to be good enough. And so
who would that be?
Casey Schmidt to me is, I think
okay.
that, I mean
there were questions about him as an offensive player before he even got.
He to me has whiffs of being a 4A player. Joey Bart, they didn't draft, but he's a younger player, and I think he's on his way out. I think Logan and Camilo and Patrick Bailey, you're rock solid. You're major leaguers. You're here next year, and you're a part of our future. And Matos he's good.
Yep, I think he's in that category.
You would add him
in
the core, but I don't think that he's popped the way you want him to pop.
Yeah.
Luciano, we still don't know. And Kyle Harrison, it was a little bit of a head scratcher. Did they rush him? Is he not ready? I think he's good enough.
He got called back up today, and I'm really frustrated by the way the Giants played that.
Exactly.
I said it last week when they sent him back down. If you're going to send him down, then in favor of Ross Stripling, then that better mean that Ross Stripling is ready to pitch like Ross Stripling used to pitch and come help you get a playoff spot. Instead, what Ross Stripling did was he came in Colorado, gave up a handful of runs, and then took a passive-aggressive shot, I thought, at the organization by, after a key loss in the locker room, saying, well, yeah, it was, you're getting the rust off, and so today was productive, as if he's moving towards something, and
sure.
I'm like, you're not moving towards something. This is an incredibly key game that you guys just lost.
That's a May statement.
Yeah, that's not okay. So I thought was just completely misplayed, and now Kyle Harrison is back, and I largely think a lot of those names you just said, it's too early to make any real judgments.
Sure.
Bailey's been there long enough to be like, that's a dude.
Yes.
So we can move on with that. But as far as the rest of the guys, Matos, I think that's encouraging. There are some encouraging signs with the others as well. But these guys are all 21, 2, and 3 years old. And so you come up and give them a month or two, or in Harrison's case, like 4 starts? 5 starts, whatever it is, that's not enough, I think, to make any real judgments. I think there are some players there. The problem I see it is this. A regime that has clearly been all about the long play now suddenly needs to be about the short play. They do not have time for the long play anymore. If this regime is going to be brought back for another year, and I agree with you, they probably will. I'm not in the 100% camp, but I think they probably will. The problem for them now is they need to almost adjust the way they think. And they have to be good next year. They have to be interesting next year. Not just good. If you bore us to 85 wins next year, nope, not going to do it. The Giants are one of 5 teams. This is what this was put really well in the article by Verducci. They're one of 5 teams in all of baseball to not get an attendance bump. One of 5 teams.
They're dead flat, I think, year over year, right?
And the only 2 outfits this year that basically have had a worse sort of percentage output in terms of attendance are the Washington Nationals and the Chicago White Sox. The Nationals are 68 and 85. The White Sox are 58 and 95. These are 2 of the worst teams in baseball.
Yeah.
And that's your company when it comes to attendance. That has to speak louder than any stat, than any platoon,
sure,
than any righty-lefty matchup or any opener.
And the A's are down there too, right? In terms of like one of the teams that didn't get an attendance bump.
Yes,
I mean, because
I think the Tigers are the other one too. It's all really, really bad teams.
The terrible teams.
Yeah,
and the markets where you're either a bad organization or you are an organization in major transition. And I look at the one area where you were hoping that they would be better, and that would be the defense, and you led baseball by a long shot in errors, and they committed another one today, and defensive runs saved and all the other defensive metrics, you're bottom 5 across the board, so you have a ballpark that makes it hard on hitters, so you don't attract a lot of hitters. Home run-wise, you were middle of the pack, and defensively, you were supposed to be better this year, and I think yesterday, Mark, crystallized it for a lot of fans, that double stolen base, double throwing error, 2 runs scored, Little League debacle. That, to me, was the low point of this entire season.
Here, I've now got Verducci's article in front of me.
Okay.
And here's the way he wrote it. The Giants are one of only 5 teams to not get an attendance increase this year. Only the Nationals and White Sox have seen a bigger drop. The Giants have lost 26% of their paying customers since 2016, their last winning team before COVID restrictions. 26%.
Right. Yeah.
That is massive. And if you're running a business, that's why I keep saying this. We can talk about the baseball problems all we want. And there are plenty, okay? There are plenty. I have been this regime's biggest supporter, I would imagine, in this town.
In this building,
certainly
for sure.
In this building.
Yep.
And I still think that we do sweep under the rug a lot of the good they've done. They have been, in one form or another, a contender for 4 years. They do have a 107-win season under their belt. The farm system is way better than it used to be. These are all facts. Also fact, it hasn't worked. It hasn't worked, and whatever baseball conversation you want to have, to me, takes a backseat to the customer conversation. The fact that you're uninteresting, you are, from a PR standpoint, you're putting your PR people in a really bad spot, your marketing people in a really bad spot. You have found a way to be uninteresting. And that, in 2023, as a content creator, as an entertainment entity, is what you flat out cannot do. And so from a reason-by-reason situation, you can make sense. You can explain why Judge and Correa aren't on the team, and I think we get it.
Yeah, yeah.
But there, at a certain point, comes the bottom line, which is that people are leaving your building, and if you're trying to entertain people, that's going to make bosses stand up and do something, whether you're in the right or the wrong, or it's bad luck or good luck or anything.
25% or 26% attendance drop since 2016, and that is dramatic, especially when you've got a crown jewel of a ballpark and you've got a wonderful city that even everybody talking about the death spiral of San Francisco, you've seen a nice bounce back in many ways, in many corridors. People are actually coming back to the city. I know it because I try and drive across the Bay Bridge every afternoon, and traffic is back in the afternoons. People are here. People would love to go to that ballpark, but the product is not exciting. It's very cost prohibitive. And even in a year, as you mentioned, where baseball is better than ever, games are shorter, which means there's more action per minute. The APM is up across baseball. Attendance is up. Action's up. And baseball is doing a better job of marketing its product on social media. More fans are interested in baseball than ever before. Yet this team, that's been good, Mark. They've been competitive all year long. They're not drawing people, and there are a number of reasons why.
Giants swept in Arizona. They are 76-76. We are calling the season right now. We are calling it. It's a wrap. May it rest in peace. Taps.
Dearly beloved.
It's gone. So what should happen next is the question. Chris in Austin, Texas with Willard and Dibs. Hey, Chris, thanks for calling. What's up?
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I mean, this has kind of been the nail in the coffin last 2 days. It really feels like it. So, I mean, I'm kind of curious what your guys' thoughts are. Obviously, ownership has come out and said that Farhan and Kapler are going to be back in 2024. I also don't think we should rule out the fact that if this collapsed the rest of the series and I guess the games against the Dodgers and whoever else we have, like if it doesn't get continuously ugly, what makes us think that they couldn't be out the door this year? And we've had a couple of people in our pitching staff and coaches that have already been announced that they've left in the last 24 hours too, which they're going to have to backfill. So I don't know. It seems like the writing's kind of on the wall. Maybe Donnie Ecker was onto something last year and then got out before it got ugly. So that's kind of my thoughts.
It's interesting, Chris. I do think there is a little bit of an exodus with staffers on the Giants. I think that there are some underlying reasons to that. I think that's all true. The larger question you're asking is basically why not now with this regime? I don't know for sure that now isn't when it's going to happen. I don't think it will. I know that they've been given the vote of confidence.
Dreaded vote of confidence.
I keep reminding people how not in cement that is when someone gets a vote of confidence.
Dude, I've been there.
I mean, hello. Mike Dunleavy Jr., Jordan Poole's under contract. He's going to be here. 2 days later is a wizard. So,
well, Dunleavy wasn't lying. He was here after he got done with that sentence.
Yeah, it was.
For another 48 hours or so. Eddie Murphy.
Like when they say, hey, they're back next year, it does not mean they're back next year. I think they will be. They are under contract. They're not going to be extended. I also think there are some underlying reasons in terms of where they are in their process right now.
Yes.
Why it would make sense to give them one more year. Even I, as supportive as I've been, I certainly wouldn't sign them up for more than one more year. And I would point this out. People tie the two, and I don't know if we should. This is one thing that should get more pub. If y'all think Farhan is so bad at getting good players, then you should be complimenting Gabe more than you are.
Yeah, you've done this before, and I think your point is a good one.
If there are no good players, then how do you rip Gabe? So I kind of would say, I think you need to pick if you really have a problem. If you've got a problem with pitching, management, and changes, fine.
That's Gabe.
Go after the beard and the glasses. But if you've got a problem with roster construction, that's not Gabe. And I could easily argue that if that's your point, then the Giants have overachieved, and that should be a credit to Gabe. So I don't know if they're attached.
I think they are attached.
I just think with the importance of free agency coming this offseason, it probably makes sense. Also, with all the 22 and 23-year-old youngsters, it probably makes sense to do this one more shot, one more time around the sun.
No doubt.
And then see where you're at.
Is that, I think the captain and Tennille, do that to me one more time. No, it's Carly Simon, I believe. Carly Simon, as I get my 70s pop hits in order.
I was a baby. I'll go with whatever you say.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love the young people. Had to get there first. Because the farm is starting to bear fruit, we don't know how succulent the fruit is, but it's bearing some fruit. I think that gives Farhan another year, and I do think that these two are tied together because think about what the change looks like. So you fire the manager because you think he mismanaged a team that, to your point, Is this team so talented and Gabe mucked it up? Or is this team not talented and Gabe actually did kind of a lot of good things with an untalented roster? Either way you look at it, if the roster's not very good and you want to replace Farhan, well, the new GM wants his own skipper.
Yep.
And if you think that the skipper blew a roster that's really talented and you want to keep Farhan and fire Gabe, well, are you really giving Farhan another crack at hiring a manager?
Yeah,
These two came in together. And they're going out. I mean, they kind of came in together
Farhan
because
was first, but yes.
But Bochy was going to be here, and then Farhan had a year to get his house in order before he handpicked his guy.
Yes.
These two are joined at the hip. So if you lose one, you lose them both.
I agree. I agree.
To that point, and then I want to get more of these calls in because people are flocking to the phones. If you do want to flush these two, who are you hiring? Because that's always something that you say. And you're right to say it because before you make the big move, you got to know who you're going with.
Well, it's interesting. The guy who just got canned from the Red Sox was a finalist for the job that Farhan got, and so now he's available, but he didn't do a great job in Boston. So I don't know if you want him. It just doesn't feel like the time to do it because I don't think you could take advantage of it. That's, I think, your point. It's not that they've earned this, that, or the other. It's that I don't think you're in an advantageous position to do it right now. I think there's one more time around. And
it was Captain and Tennille, by the way. I panicked.
See, you should stick with your original gut, brother.
Yeah. I'm pissed right now.
I guess one more time around.
Thank you.
And
Captain.
And they're going to have, again, a lot coming off the books. Have the Shohei conversation.
Oh, stop.
Have the Bellinger conversation.
Okay, that's a little bit more plausible.
That's realistic. Have those conversations. See what you can do. Get better players. Foundational pieces. The problem now is you're on the clock. Clock.
Thank you.
You got to do it. You got to do it. And that's the unfortunate part. You could all see it, though, can't you? Couldn't you see Luciano coming up next year and Harrison getting with Logan Webb and a healthy Alex Cobb, and all of a sudden you're like, whoa. And they could. You put a Bellinger in the lineup, and you start getting Matos has got experience. You could see it.
Well, you could see it.
I can see it.
This is one of my favorite parts about working with you is because you get angry, sports angry, and I know that this is not going to affect your life, and you work yourself into a lather, and you get angry, sports angry, but then, without a doubt, inevitably, you find the positive and you start to think about how this could actually work out it might work out in the future.
It's not a prediction. It's if I'm them, this is what I'm thinking.
No, but it's fun watching you work your way into that spot because the majority of us are fire him, you stink, you suck, you're a bum, you're cut, DFA'd.
Because it's
pre-arb 3.
But it's too easy to write things off, and it gets disproven all the time.
Right.
I got made fun of for saying the Niners would go 10-6 when they went 13-3 and ended up in the Super Bowl.
You got made fun of when you said the Warriors had a chance to really do something a couple of years ago.
And the Giants are 2 years removed from a Manager of the Year award. Now,
that's a long 2 years, kid.
Right. I also should be made fun of for the fact that I thought that it was highly likely that this was a playoff team.
Yeah, boy.
And if you look at them since July,
egg meat face.
This is disgusting baseball.
Get him, Mark.
It's gross. It's terrible baseball. Not just because it's boring. There's not one thing that they're doing well. You want me to keep going?
This is good.
You don't play defense well. You don't hit the ball well. You don't pitch the ball well. You don't pitch the ball long. You don't pitch the ball short. You don't have relievers you can rely on, and you only starters you can rely on get no run support. What do you do well? You cannot be good at anything in life if you can't answer that question. What do you do well? It's been 2.5 months. I haven't done anything well. Clip. Go ahead.
Good.
There you go.
And that was nice.
Coming to a social
seconds.
media platform near you.
I thought you could have punctured it with, you're the shifts. or something.
Ban the chefs.
You really could have brought it home with a little profanity, but you do you. That was good.
Let's get Rich in Fremont.
Let's do it.
Okay, the Giants season is dead. What should happen next? 888-957-9570. Hey, Rich, what's up?
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for taking my call. I think it's kind of sad, too, because really, when you look at this year, the real highlight has been the 10-game win streak. Other than that, there's not been much to pay attention to with this team. And that's kind of the reason why, even when they went with the 10-game win streak, people were still just like, well, I need to see more. And they couldn't give them more. And now where we're at right now. And it's like, if the Giants fan base are biting their nails right now, thinking if we can just do this, we'll get into the wild card seed. Well, this is the problem that the fan base is going to have to accept. Even if they get to the wild card, okay, they've been so inconsistent all year that it's not going to matter because they'll probably lose the next game after they get into that. So, I mean, the main word I want to focus on for this year with the Giants is just inconsistency. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, Rich, thanks, you. Rich. Although the problem is they've been completely consistent for the last 2.5 months.
What was their road record? Did you say 5-20?
5-25.
5-25?
Last 30 games, they've won 5.
I mean, that's
5.
That's like Tennessee football at the Swamp.
Since late July.
That's almost. I almost have to look it up. No. I do believe you.
No,
and you don't
trust me.
You don't come off half clocked a lot.
This is not. I'm not guessing. They are 5-25 in their last 30 road games with a -76 run differential.
I'm going to look at the other team in the Bay and see if they have a better road record over their last 30.
Oh, I'd be shocked if they didn't. I know they've got a better run differential because the Giants one is the worst.
I mean, my God.
Baseball.